what do you do for a living?
I've been a janitor for 23 years. The kids call me Mr. Richard.
So tell me what the big dream is, please.
My big dream? I like to sing. I love to sing.
Richard Goodall wasn't meant to be here. He was just a man with a mop and a dream, but when he got on stage at AGT, everything changed for a few minutes.
You are my hero.
That scared guy. Before AGT, my life was very normal.
And even Simon Cowell, the judge who rarely shows any emotion, stopped judging and made a face that no one had ever seen before. What could one performance show that left millions speechless and a famous judge speechless? What happened to Richard before this? And why did it affect Simon in a way that nothing else had? Richard's quiet life before fame. Richard Goodall's story didn't start with bright stage lights or a cheering crowd. It started in the quiet hallways of Chauncey Rose Middle School in Indiana, where he worked as a janitor for more than 20 years. He was nice, funny, and reliable for the students. There was a secret love behind that sweet smile that few people knew about. Music. Richard would sing songs with a voice so rich and heartfelt that it could stop anyone in their tracks, even when he was mopping floors or straightening chairs. Kids would sometimes catch him singing and be amazed.
Just so amazing, and getting the kids to interact and sing with the song, because the song is an icon just to begin with.
Richard, on the other hand, kept these times to himself. Music was his heart, his escape, and his friend through years of doing the same thing every day. But life had other plans. He came from a modest family and always found comfort in singing, but the reality of bills, responsibilities, and the fear of rejection kept him from pursuing a career in music. Then, in the beginning of 2024, things got very different. A student filmed Richard singing at school and put it on TikTok. His voice went viral online. He has thousands of views, hundreds of comments, and people from all over cheering him on. "This guy should be on AGT," people wrote. "How has no one found him before?" Richard was both surprised and skeptical as he watched all of this happen. He had kept his talent a secret for years, thinking that maybe the world wasn't ready for it, or that he wasn't ready for it. People started asking him to share what he had always loved all of a sudden. After all those years, what made Richard brave enough to finally try out for America's Got Talent? Was it the huge amount of support from both students and strangers? Some rumors say that personal problems like losses, struggles, and quiet battles helped shape his determination. Because of those problems, he learned to value every note he sang and every chance he had to motivate others. Richard's first plane ride to Los Angeles for the audition was probably a mix of excitement and nerves that he had never felt before. It was a leap into the unknown for him to leave his hometown, his daily routines, and step onto a stage that millions would see. But Richard did take it. His past, the little things like singing for students, the years of waiting, the struggles and fears, gave every note he sang on that stage more meaning and depth. When he played, it wasn't just music. It was a lifetime of secret hopes and quiet bravery turned into sound. Every high note was heavy with patience. Every line of the song had hope that even small dreams can come true if they are cared for. Richard Goodall's story shows that you can always follow your passion, no matter how old you are. Sometimes life quietly waits for the right push, like a viral video, a supportive group, or a moment of clarity. When that push comes, having the guts to act can change everything. His humble beginnings didn't just change the way he spoke, they also changed the heart behind it. Soon, millions would be captivated by it on a stage much bigger than any hallway he had ever cleaned. Richard Goodall, a GT. Journey. Richard Goodall's journey on America's Got Talent started in May 2024, a moment that had been in the works for years. He was nervous when he walked on stage, but his determination showed. The crowd was buzzing, and the judges were paying close attention as Richard sang "Don't Stop Believin'" with all his heart. His voice filled the theatre with emotion that went beyond perfect notes. Heidi Klum hit the golden buzzer because she was moved by how powerful and real his performance was.
I seen Heidi talking to Howie, but I had no idea what she was saying. I thought that Heidi did not like me.
Richard was sent straight to the live shows, and confetti fell from the sky.
Oh my gosh, you're just doing what you do. You don't think you're all that special. This is something you see in movies.
The crowd went wild with cheers, but the judges' reactions were just as amazing. Simon Cowell, who is usually quiet and critical, looked very impressed. He said, "That was special. You have a voice that touches people." It wasn't just how well Richard sang. It was the story and feeling behind each note that really moved people. Richard sang classic hits like "How Am I Supposed to Live Without You?" and "Faithfully" as the competition went on. Each performance built on the last, showing off his range and connecting with both the audience and the judges. The judges often praised him for being real and humble, and standing ovations became common. Sofia Vergara said he was very real, and Howie Mandel said he could connect with people just through his emotions. People were especially interested in how Simon Cowell reacted. Clips from the show showed him getting misty-eyed during Richard's performances, especially during his final duet with Journey. Fans wondered why. Did Simon see a reflection of his own early struggles in Richard's story about being an underdog? Maybe Simon thought of how hard it is to make a living in the entertainment industry because Richard was so humble and persistent. There is no official word on why he was upset, but it got fans talking and made them more interested in Richard's story. Richard's performances in the quarterfinals and semi-finals weren't just about hitting notes. They were also about telling a story. Every song he chose showed how he went from being a janitor with a hidden talent to a performer on stage in front of millions. Judges often praised how he connected with the audience, not by putting on a show, but by being real and relatable. Richard's ability to share a lifetime of experiences in each performance made a lasting impression. The end on September the 24th, 2024, was the result of months of hard work and support from the public. Richard played with the same humility and passion that had gotten him through every round. His duet with Journey won over the judges and the audience, and their reactions showed how emotional the moment was. Fans all over the world talked about Simon's rare display of emotion, which led to speculation about what had affected him so deeply. Was it the win of an underdog? The purity of Richard's talent? Or maybe it's a reminder of the problems that artists have to deal with in life and in show business. When Richard was named the winner, the theatre went crazy. The cameras caught the real happiness of a man who had waited decades for this moment as confetti flew and cheers rang out. The story that really stuck with me, though, was about heart, courage, and never giving up. Richard's journey showed that singing isn't just about singing. It's also about showing emotion, inspiring others, and showing that talent can grow at any age. The win was an official sign of Richard's talent, but for fans and viewers, the most interesting part was how much the judges, especially Simon Cowell, connected with his story. It showed that being real, humble, and dedicated can even change the minds of the hardest critics. Fans are still talking about the emotional highs and lows, wondering why Simon seemed so moved and thinking about how powerful Richard's story is. His time on AGT wasn't just a competition. It taught him about bravery, hard work, and how important it is to share your gift with the world. Richard's heartbreaking loss. Richard Goodall had a heavy burden that few people knew about, even though he was in the spotlight and getting applause. His first wife, Patty Goodall, died in 2021 after a long fight with kidney cancer. It made the loss even worse that they had shared so many dreams, laughs, and love over the years. Richard has been honest about this time, saying, "It was the hardest thing I've ever gone through." The grief changed him deeply, affecting both his personal life and the way he made music. Music became more than just a hobby. it became a safe place and a way to express feelings that were too complicated for words alone. Every note he sang had pieces of the pain, longing, and love he had felt. Fans and critics have guessed that this level of emotion made his performances on AGT so moving. Is it possible that this sadness, this real-life experience of heartbreak, is what made his voice so emotionally powerful? People could feel the journey behind every high note or heartfelt lyric, even if they didn't know the story. Richard often thought about how music helped him deal with the loss of Patty. He said in interviews and conversations that singing was the only way he could deal with all the feelings he was having. It wasn't just about performing, it was a way to heal. Music helped him deal with his grief and connect with other people in a way that words alone couldn't. For a lot of people, his shows weren't just fun. They were a way to connect with others on an emotional level. Even though he was heartbroken, he kept looking ahead. Richard married his high school sweetheart, Angie Vanavan, in a small ceremony in 2024, just a few days before the end of AGT. After years of grieving, this was a time of personal victory and hope. It was a chance for him to celebrate life again, and it seemed to give him new energy. Richard's love for Angie brought warmth and light back into his life, and friends and family saw that glow in his performances. The strong contrast between his grief and newfound joy made every song he sang more emotional. Richard's life story shows how both sad and happy experiences can inspire art. Patty's demise left him with deep emotional scars, but it also helped him write music that was real and raw.
Celebration continues this afternoon for Richard Goodall. The singing janitor from Terre Haute won it all last night on America's Got Talent.
Getting married to Angie again gave him balance, hope, and a new sense of purpose. These events changed not only the man, but also the performer that fans fell in love with on AGT. His music is especially powerful because it deals with grief. Some people think that the pain he went through is what made his performances so powerful. It wasn't just notes when he sang. It was a story of love, loss, strength, and hope. Every song had echoes of his past and hopes for the future. It reminds us that the depth of human experience can make art more powerful than anything else. Richard's story also shows how strong the human spirit can be. Even though he had one of the worst losses in his life, he kept going after his dream and shared his talent with the world. His journey from heartbreak to personal renewal shows how being honest with your feelings, being brave and not giving up can help you find happiness in both your personal and professional life. Every performance was a testament to his journey, showing that the difficulties of life can make someone more talented than just being good at something. Richard's music on a GT was a reflection of everything he had been through. The sadness of losing Patty and the hope and love that Angie brought added layers of emotion that made every note ring out. His story reminds us that every performer is a person with a lot of different experiences, and those experiences are what make the art truly unforgettable. Richard Goodall's journey isn't just about winning a talent show. It's also about how music can heal, connect, and inspire. His voice told the story of a life full of both loss and joy, giving people a look into the heart of a man who had been through storms but come out stronger. Fans and viewers are reminded through his story that the beauty of music often comes from the honesty and bravery of the people who sing it. They are also reminded that life can still offer moments of hope, love, and victory, even when things are hard. Richard Goodall post. Win Simon. After Richard Goodall won America's Got Talent in September 2024, a lot of people thought he would immediately start living a life of fame and luxury. That wasn't the case, though. Richard went back to work as a part-time janitor at Chauncey Rose Middle School in early 2025. He said in interviews, "I love the kids. I want to stay connected to where I came from," even though he had won millions. This decision showed humility and down-to-earthness that is rare in reality TV stars.
An emotional night for Indiana's Richard Goodall on America's Got Talent as he went back to the Journey catalog for his final performance before the finale.
He was able to keep his perspective on the craziness of being famous because he stayed in touch with that person. Richard and his wife Angie made smart financial decisions with his AGT winnings. They also went back to school. They bought a house in Terre Haute outright and carefully planned how to deal with the sudden fame that came with it. The house wasn't just a trophy for Richard. It was a place where life could go on as normal, away from cameras and spotlights. It was a sign of stability. There were problems after the win. Richard had surgery for a hernia, which worried his fans. He got better quickly, though, and he learned from the experience how important it is to stay healthy and balanced. He took another step in his music career by releasing his first single, Long Time Coming, on streaming services in August 2025. The song was about his journey, which included hard work, resilience, and the rewards of being patient. It didn't do very well on the charts, but fans who had followed his AGT story liked it, and it hinted at the possibility of a full-length album in the future. 2025 was another big year for me personally. Angie pushed Richard to get back in touch with his biological father, Hubert, after years of unanswered questions and curiosity about his family history. This reunion gave Richard closure and new ideas that made his emotional life richer and helped him write better music. Returning to AGT for the 20th anniversary special also showed that he was still connected to the show and let him perform in front of familiar faces. This showed that even though he was famous, he was still close to his roots. Fans watched Richard's life unfold and began to wonder, was fame changing him, or was he staying true to his roots? His decisions, going back to cleaning, buying a house with a plan, putting family and health first, show that he is a man who values being real. Richard didn't chase every chance to be in the spotlight like some reality show winners do. Instead, he balanced public attention with private life and made smart choices that helped him grow as a person and in his career. Simon Cowell's reactions during and after AGT also got a lot of attention, just like Richard's journey. Simon is known for being critical, and he has had his own problems in the past. In 2015, he lost his mother, and in 2020, he had a terrible bike accident that almost left him paralyzed. These things may have made him very sympathetic to Richard's story. People are wondering if Simon saw parts of his younger self in Richard because he was so moved by Richard's finale. Or did it have to do with loss, humility, and not giving up? Fans and gossip columns have been talking about how this emotional connection might have shown a softer side of the famous judge that we don't see very often. It helps to look at Richard's path in comparison to other AGT winners, like Cody Lee or Terry Fator, to understand the pressures that come after winning. A lot of winners have trouble dealing with sudden fame, managing their money, and dealing with all the attention they get, but Richard's approach adds a new level, staying grounded, putting personal values first, and using fame as a platform instead of a defining factor. His story shows that you don't have to give up your roots or personal priorities to be successful. Richard kept this balance going through 2025 and into 2026. His musical work, personal achievements, and return to work showed how hard life can be after a big win. Richard is a great example of how to handle fame in a responsible and real way because he has been recognized by the public, healed in private, and made smart choices in his life. Simon's similar experiences make the story more interesting. The tears and emotional reactions from someone who usually keeps their feelings to themselves show that Richard's story hit home for them. It reminds us that even the strongest public figures have weaknesses and past problems. The connection between the underdog's victory and Simon's empathy adds depth to the AGT story. It shows that the show is not just about talent, but also about feelings, strength, and understanding. Richard Goodall's life after winning and Simon Cowell's rare show of weakness make fans wonder, can fame really change someone? In Richard's case, the answer seems to be no. he has stayed true to his values, family and music, while also inspiring millions. His journey, both on and off stage, continues to teach us about the power of sharing our lives and talents with the world, as well as the importance of being true to ourselves and not giving up. Simon Cowell cried when he heard Richard Goodall's story, which went from being a janitor to an AGT star. To see every shocking performance, inspiring journey, and behind-the-scenes moment, like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications. Click now to join the adventure and don't miss the next amazing story.